I feel like I owe you guys an explanation. So this is my second time sitting down to film this video. The first time I was in my car, and I feel like I was doing like a pretty good job of getting everything out, and then I watched it back, and the second half of the video had no audio. So yeah, that sucked because this is hard enough as is, and I spent like literally 4 hours writing everything down that I wanted to say, and then that didn't work because like that felt too mechanical and weird. And then I was in a good flow, and I was recording before I had like a doctor's appointment, and I was gonna record, then go to my doctor's appointment, then record after. But then I didn't have enough, I couldn't muster up enough strength to get to the second part of the story, which is what everyone's wondering about. And that's to do with like me dropping out of Ole Miss, me going to the hospital, all that stuff. And that's still super fresh. It is Friday, November 14th. So a week ago, I was admitted to an inpatient facility. Then 2 days before that, in the ICU. And it's all very fresh and emotional and raw, but I feel like if I get it out there and I talk about it, I can move on from it. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about so that I can move on from. I feel like I built this platform off of being super authentic and just being myself, and that's what everybody loved about me. And then it's not that I haven't been authentic in the past couple of years. I think it's just that I changed myself and I grew and molded as a person, because for the majority of my teenage years, I was in the public eye. And I think I lived my life in a way so that I could be honest online about what I was doing and be telling the truth and not get in trouble. This is like one of the hardest things that I've done ever, like talking about it and putting it on a platform, because I know, of course, all the people that follow me are going to see it, but so are my friends, so are my parents, so are my parents' friends, so are my friends' parents, so are my old teachers. It's just difficult. And you know, my family is super private. They're all private people, my mom, dad, and brother, and they like to handle things like super privately within our family. And when I, you know, post or talk about that I was in the hospital, obviously that's gonna get around town, and people are gonna reach out to my parents, and that's hard, and I put them through hell and back, so that added part to it is just like rough. I'm filming this in Coral's room. She doesn't know I'm filming it in here, but I was just hanging out with Lula, her sister, and I was like, I really feel like I gotta do this. Like, I keep putting it off, and just like playing in my head and like talking out loud, or like what I want to say, but not actually saying it or doing this. And this is the first time in my life that I can feel like I can speak on the internet about the truth and my truth in my life and not have to worry about getting in trouble, whether that be because I was going through sorority recruitment and you have to be super clean about what you post, or I was on sports teams in high school and you want to represent your sports teams well, and even just going to high school and knowing your teachers are seeing stuff and your parents, and like I said, like I just always, I never wanted to get in trouble, and my whole life I've never wanted to get in trouble, which is so weird because I'm always getting myself into trouble, even though I hate it and it gives me so much anxiety, I still always found myself doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing or being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And I just remembered a story when I was in 7th grade, and everyone was like recording on their iPads or something like that. The teacher called me out, and I was like, but everybody's doing it. And this was before I was even on TikTok or anything like that. But she was like, but when you do it, you're always in your life going to be the one that gets in trouble with it, because you're not sneaky. You're not a sneaky person. You are always going to be the one who's going to get in trouble for it. And that's always been true. I'm just not, I don't realize that I could get in trouble for something I do until I've actually done it. And so I'm not sneaky. But I feel like to talk about everything and to explain myself and my story and my whole story and like everything, I'm going to start back when I was a little kid, because I always wanted to be famous. I always wanted to be famous. I always wanted to be special. And I kind of remember, like, at an early age, I realized that, like, kind of my strengths and weaknesses, like, I don't repeat this to myself in my head anymore because it's not really the nicest thing to say to yourself, but for probably a good 10 years, I would tell myself, you're not pretty, you're not that smart, you're not talented, you're not good at sports, like, what do you have? What I had was that I was entertaining, I was funny, and I could make people laugh, and I was willing to put myself down or embarrass myself to make people laugh for a very long time, because that's all I thought I was worth, and that's all I put my identity into. And like, I kind of gave up on myself like pretty early in my life and put all my worth into the fact that I was just a funny person, you know. I wasn't pretty, I wasn't smart, I wasn't those things, I was funny and I could make people laugh. That's all I cared about. And like I said, like I don't know why. I think eventually someday they'll do a study on the type of people who put themselves out there and, you know, chase fame, I guess, and what that is in people's brains that makes them want that so bad. But my parents are like the opposite. My mom is so against like people exploiting their kids and like people putting their kids in like pageants and putting them, trying to get them famous. And I think it's just because like she always wanted to protect me, and she still does. Like, I think she's still definitely, of course, any mother is going to struggle with the fact that their child is, you know, in a position where there's so many eyes on her. And yeah, I was always creating videos when I was younger. I wanted to do YouTube so badly. I remember I would upload YouTube videos secretly and they'd get like 0 views, and yeah. And I don't know why I have struggled with this complex about like validation and approval, because my parents gave me everything like I could ever want and told me how amazing I was every single day. And when I was at this facility that I just got out of a few days ago, a girl said to me, she was like, I don't understand, like I always thought that people who came from who didn't come from a broken family, who came from a family, a healthy family, that they wouldn't struggle, that they had that, that they wouldn't struggle. And that's definitely, you know, the cards have been stacked in my favor. But at the end of the day, I do have a chemical imbalance in my brain, and that's just the truth. I can't control it, you know. It's like when people say, like, it's the same thing as if you have diabetes, you have to take your diabetes medicine. It's like, I have a chemical imbalance in my brain. I have to take care of that, or else things will spiral. So, going into high school, I was so scared. I had not had the easiest time in like middle school, worst years of my life. Things have gotten bad lately, and I hit definitely a rock bottom. I'd still take that over middle school. I need to get water. Okay. I'm back. I just had to go sip some water. So going into high school, I was so nervous. And at some point, I decided to make YouTube videos. Now it's been 5 years since I started that, so I can't remember like what led up to that or what that decision was, but I would make YouTube videos and I would bring my camcorder to school and I'd record and I'd post them online, and I'd be myself, I'd be funny, I wouldn't filter myself, I would laugh, all this stuff, and people liked it. Like, only people at my school were seeing these videos, but when you're a freshman and seniors and juniors and even sophomores are telling you that they think you're funny and they come up to you in the courtyard and they're like, oh my god, I saw your TikTok or your YouTube video, like, you're so cute, you're so funny. That is everything. That meant everything to me. And I think it lit that fire under my bum, and it gave me that validation to keep posting and to keep being more and more authentic. And obviously the YouTube videos got shut down by the school. That's not really a surprise. You can't bring a camcorder to school. You can't record it at school. You can't record the courtyard. You can't record the teachers. Like, duh. And at the time I thought that was so unfair because it was like everybody records on their phone at school. And after that I'd try and like kind of sneak it, and I'd always get caught, and I was like, that's so unfair. And I felt like I was under a microscope. But like, looking back now, obviously when you do something and it's brought to like the administrators brought to the administrators at your school, they're gonna look for it. Like, it's gonna be easier for them to catch you doing it a second time. I didn't get in trouble or anything. Like, the first time they called me into my office, they were just like, yeah, you have to take those videos down. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And then if they caught me recording at school, I'd just get pulled out of class and be like, you know, you're not allowed to do that. And I'd be like, yeah, I guess that's true. And that was that. So I couldn't make my YouTube videos. And so I really started posting on TikTok more. Because, I mean, YouTube videos, I didn't have enough in my day to make good YouTube videos. I just went to school in La Crosse, and like, I couldn't, both those are school orchestrated things, I couldn't film there. But TikToks were easier because they were short, and I just filmed and posted whatever I was thinking, whatever I thought, whatever I did. I posted everything, and that started to gain traction. Well, it wasn't just people at my school seeing it, but more and more people started to see it. And I finally feel like I got that like validation that I wanted so badly. And like, it was always like, you're so funny, you're so real, like, you're hilarious. Like, people, it was a joke. Like, things I posted were a joke. But then there was other side of people who saw my content who were like, what is wrong with her? Like, they couldn't tell it was a joke. And that's why this video is titled Lily Rice Explained, and that's a little like throwback to TikTok has those like automated comments or like automated search bars. And my search bar for like years was always Lily Rice Explained or Lily Rice Disabled, which, you know, given the context of this video, could also be a fitting title. Anyway, so I was in high school, you know, the beginning of high school, and I started to not care about anything else other than making people laugh. I didn't care what I looked like. I didn't care that I wasn't smart, which I'm just gonna say, like, I am a smart person. Like, I know I'm smart. It took me a long time to realize that, but I might not be the typical person who can sit in a class and do the work because I get so distracted. But if I put my mind to something and it's something I'm passionate about, I can do it. And I'm smart in different ways. But anyway, I didn't care about that. I didn't care really about my grades. I didn't care about how I looked. I didn't care that boys didn't like me and everyone else was having their first kiss and their first boyfriend and boys didn't show me any attention. And that was fine, like, because I would get attention in other ways. And I just fully let myself go in all other ways and was completely real and free. And I don't want to say like that I wasn't being authentic, because I was. Like, the things I was saying were true. Like, when I would get on TikTok and I'd say, I don't vote, I don't vape, I don't drink, I don't kiss boys, I've never smoked, like all that stuff, that was the truth. But I think I was doing it, or I think I was so scared to do that stuff because I wanted to be able to be completely honest and not get in trouble. And that's what I mean when I say, like, I kind of like grew around this like persona-ish. So that was kind of how things were for a few years. And I really started to blow up, my sophomore year. I got my first manager. People would come up to me whenever I went in public. When I would go to things like hockey games or like concerts, it would turn into like a mob, and everything just changed. It was so different, and people would always ask me. They'd be like, "How do you deal with it?" Because I got so much hate. And my answer would always just be like, I don't have any choice. Like, I don't have a choice but to deal with it. I didn't have a choice but to compartmentalize, and I didn't put any worth in those things that people said, or I tried not to. Like, if someone called me ugly, it didn't matter. I mean, there'd be the odd time when I'd have like a breakdown and it would really hit me, and like I feel like I'd let that guard down and I'd like read a comment and it would send me into spiral. But for the most part, I didn't put any value in that stuff. Like, I only was putting value in the fact that people were paying attention to me. 2025, this year, has been the biggest year of my life. Like, the most changes. I had my first real kiss, my first real hookup, and my first real like heartbreak, like liking a guy and it really hurting. I went to college. I dropped out of college. I dropped rush. Like, I went to prom. I graduated. All of this stuff. I drank for the first time. I smoked for the first time. I vaped for the first, well, actually, no. And going into my senior year, I think I kind of started to, not consciously, but like subconsciously, just grow up. Like, I cared more now about the way that I looked. I liked doing makeup videos. I liked aesthetic and all this stuff. And I put value in that for the first time in a long time. And it made me so much more insecure, because I definitely have went through like a huge physical transformation in the past year or two. And I do get comments that people call me pretty, and like, I have gotten attention from boys, and all the comments and all the feedback that I get now is not really as much like, you're so funny, you're so real. It's like talking about my appearance, whether that's good or bad. And I think when people kind of saw me changing and evolving, it only made them want me to change and evolve more. All the comments shifted from, like I said, like, you're so funny, you're so cute, to like, dye your eyebrows, dye your hair, lose weight, dress this way, try this skin product, do your makeup this way, get lip injections, get Botox, like, all this stuff. And that's another thing I want to touch on, like, just briefly, because I need water again, sorry. Okay. Something that I've kind of struggled with is I think a huge part of me of the way I look changing is the fact that I was making money. And I could get hair extensions. I've done this so many times. I've been counting off things, but anyway, I could get hair extensions. I could afford to get my eyebrows done and my nails done and my eyelashes done and spray tans and makeup and cute outfits and all this stuff that I couldn't afford when I was. Hi,
Sorry,
come in. Just say hi.
Hi, going to Wendy's like the fatty we are. Bye.
Bye, going to Wendy's.
Just said that.
That afford all this stuff that I couldn't afford when I was obviously 14 years old. And I didn't want to come online and kind of promote that and be like, glow up hacks, this is what you do to get pretty, this is what you do to change the way you look, because I didn't want my young female audience that trusts me to feel bad about themselves if they can't afford that because they're not making the money that an influencer makes. And I know that's how I felt when I was that age, because you go online and things seem so unattainable. And I think that's kind of been a blocker too with me talking at least about that stuff. But I started to care more about that sort of thing. And the beginning half of senior year is kind of boring. Things get juicier and crazier when we get to the spring, I guess. So we'll just skip to the spring. So when it came time that everybody was talking and thinking about colleges, it's actually not the spring because I committed to Ole Miss in November. And you guys also know, if you've been here for a long time, since the beginning of me being on the internet, my best friend has always been Coral. And we've known each other since we were babies. Our first memories, most of them are together, going down to the farm near where I live. And I remember being here and playing in like a play kitchen or whatever. And she's always been my best friend. And at some point in the beginning of the year, of my senior year, we had a falling out. And that's it's really hard for me to think about now because like I knew and I know that the thing about Coral is that like anytime, like no matter how mad we were at each other, like I could always pick up the phone and call her, like no matter what. Like we had a nasty falling out and we were so angry at each other, and still I can confidently say that at any point throughout that I could have picked up the phone and called her and she would have answered. And so yeah, I think that was a big part of my life too at that point. I think I kind of, for a long time also, I talked to her about this. We had a long talk about this. We were on a walk. Like, I, for a long time, was on this serious, like, moral high horse. Because I had never done anything bad, because I had never, because I didn't have any experience in all this stuff, it was very easy for me to judge people. And for everything was black and white. This is wrong, this is right. I stand for things that are right. I don't budge. There's no gray area. There's no nuance. And I've had a serious fall from grace, and I've made some mistakes, and I can understand now people making mistakes. It was so hard for me to put myself in the shoes of people who just fuck up. When people just fuck up. Because I put this enormous pressure on myself not to in certain ways. Like morally speaking. Because, everything else in my life was a mess, but... Where did that go? Okay, so I committed to Ole Miss, right? And there is an enormous amount of pressure on teenagers right now in America and society to graduate go to a big school, go far, be in Greek life, party, do all the things, and I wanted that. And I wasn't really honest with myself either about the fact that for a long time I was not able to do things normally. Like, I remember the last ever lacrosse game I played, we were up by a bunch. I never got played because I was so bad. But anyway, they put me and my two friends that were also, no offense, really bad, and the other team was like talking, they're like, we're gonna let her score, like talking about me, like we're gonna let Lily Ray score. My coach got so mad and she ripped me off the field, because that's not the way you want to win or score in a game. You want it to be fair, but like that was, I think, a huge like wake up call. Like, I can't do things normally. It's not going to be normal for me. When you are in the public eye, you can't expect to get all the perks of it and also get all the perks of being a normal teenager. It's just not how it works. But I really had it in my head of having this normal college experience and everything going smoothly, and I'd move far and I'd be fine, and I'd come home on the breaks and everything would be okay. And I think with the Greek life and the sororities too, that to me, I got super obsessed with it. I wanted it so bad. And I think it had to do again with that validation and just like that stamp of approval of like, you're accepted, which in hindsight, I think I've chased for a really long time, and I don't think it was for other people to accept me. I think it was me wanting to accept myself and be okay with myself. It was inner, and I'm not holding on to that anymore. Like, I'm quitting vaping. Somewhere along the lines, my senior year, I got addicted to vaping, by the way. Obviously completely hit that, but yeah. I was really excited for Ole Miss. I was Team Ole Miss. I thought that college was going to be it, that I was going to absolutely thrive in college. That was not the case. Anyway, that part of it, we'll get to that when we get to it. At some point, things started really changing from what I was putting on social media, to what I was doing in real life. I think in like March, I barf. This is so awkward to talk about, and I don't want to talk about it because it's awkward and gross. But like, I hooked up with a guy for the first time, and I've said on the internet a million times I'm saving myself for marriage, and that has not been untrue. That is the truth. But for the sake of this video and the fact that, I'm trying to make it as least awkward as possible, let's just say hooking up means anything more than kissing. And I'd had like a few little like pecks throughout high school, but I think that looking back, I think the guys were probably joking. Like, that was a joke. For me, I doubt I took it as a joke, but that was a joke. Like, I never, like I said, got attention from guys, and whatever. And the reason I'm saying this is to say, like, I think the first time you do something sets the precedent for how you'll do it continuing. And everything happens for a reason, but long story short, I felt like he had regretted it, like that he regretted doing that, and that he was embarrassed. And that's embarrassing for me, and I definitely internalized that, and like always felt that going forward every time I was with a guy, that like I was something to be kept a secret, that I was something that was embarrassing, that people, you know, they didn't want people to know. And I think it just kind of made me, again, you know, I'm big into like, I don't really like to face hard things that much. I would much rather like disassociate from them, try and like move past it the best I can, and, you know, put up walls in certain ways. And I definitely put up walls when it came to guys. Like, I was able to, you know, not have feelings attached if I was with a guy, because, again, not sex, just putting that out there, but because it would save me from the fact that I always felt like they were going to be embarrassed of me, or if that was hard to talk about, you know. And that is important because it was the first time I'd done something like rebellious, that I did something that wasn't, you know, cookie cutter perfect, that I, you know, it was something that was like private, and I'm not a private person. Clearly, I'm sitting in front of a camera telling you guys basically everything in my life, but I think that's like kind of why I've been struggling a little bit with social media in the past like half a year, because like I couldn't be honest about what I was doing. And I want to moving forward, because that's what I built this on, and that's what people came here for, and that's what people love me for, is like being real and being honest. So here I am, being real and being honest. So yeah, and I continued to, you know, get attention from guys, and I would fold so quickly. I was not hard to get because that was so new for me, and that was such a foreign feeling of feeling wanted and feeling pretty, and it's a good feeling to feel wanted. It's a good feeling to feel like you're beautiful. And so yeah, that kind of continued. Somewhere around that time, I started, you know, I also started vaping. I still didn't drink, but I mean, I was hiding that I was vaping because, again, I wanted to rush, and, you know, you can't go online and say like I love to vape. And I don't think I would have been ready to share that either. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like that's the thing that I'm trying to like get released, is like, it's okay to do things that aren't perfect when you're a teenager. It's okay to, you know, live a little and, you know, make mistakes and have regrets, because that's what makes you grow. That's what makes you, I mean, I couldn't go the rest of my life, and I think I planned on it, never messing up. At this time too, in like the springish area, I think I liked a guy like for the first time, and again, like, your first something is gonna affect you, and that was my first heartbreak. And I don't want to say like my first like love, because that was not love. I mean, it's stupid looking back on it, and I mean, in comparison to what we're going to get into, like, those issues seem like they're light and they're innocent, and it's like, you know, but it still hurts. And it did hurt. And, you know, if I hadn't already completely disassociated my emotions from being with guys, I definitely did now. And I did not let myself really care, because I didn't want to get hurt, and I didn't feel like I was worth more than just that physical aspect. But I am, and I think saying that, you know, if you say it enough times, you'll believe it. So I just have to tell myself that and say that, and yeah. That's what I'm talking about right now.
I don't know.
My
Your first time drinking?
No, my first heartbreak.
Oh god.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
What are you talking about?
No. like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying, because I'm talking about like,
Can we be in for a sec?
yeah, how like the first time you do the first time you do anything is gonna affect
Like the rest
the
of your
rest of it.
experiences.
And like I'm talking
Yeah.
about like just how like with guys, I'm very
Sensitive.
no, not since the opposite.
sorry.
Like I don't get attached really. Like to
Wait, what?
think about
I guess, but you don't get attached because of him?
no and just
I don't know, I'm not following.
okay. Because
Following.
I'll just re-say what I already said.
I'm sorry.
Because I always felt like I was something to like be embarrassed of. I just disassociated from it. Like I just let myself be okay with things only being physical with people because I didn't want to get my feelings hurt
I
when
know
they
what you
didn't
mean.
want
Yeah, that
more
makes sense.
because
Low key?
they never wanted
that's kinda
more.
how I felt like.
Yeah.
Like my freshman year.
Like your feelings, you just
Yeah.
you disassociate.
Wait, I so understand.
Yeah, that's
that.
what I'm saying basically.
And I think it's like part of. I mean, I feel like everyone has a fear of rejection.
Yeah, that's
But it's like-
exactly what
yeah.
it is.
Also, like when you grow up, like feeling like so self-conscious, it's like
I was talking about.
it's like you don't even like go in with good intentions.
Yeah,
That like
and especially like for me, like, and I know you're the same way, like not getting attention from guys for so long. I'm not really sure why I said that. Lula had a boyfriend from like 5th grade to sophomore year, and then another boyfriend from junior year to now. So I don't know why I said that. That does not apply to her. It applies to me. And then when you start to, it feels so like new
Yeah.
and like you just kind of
go crazy.
go crazy.
I think we both.
Both?
Maybe one. Are you kidding me?
I think
I paid
3.
50 cents for this.
They charged me 50 cents for a ranch. Really?
Yeah, low-key all 3 of us.
Yeah, but like I want to get past that. Like I know I'm
Yeah.
worth more than that, and
No,
that's
definitely,
basically
like-
just what I'm saying.
I don't know, Will is like genuinely the nicest person
Yeah.
like I've ever met. So it was like easy.
To
You
feel
have to
safe with
find-
him.
Yeah, like compared to any other guy I've ever
I think
met,
that's
it's,
another
like, so
thing
different.
too with like the 2 experiences I've brushed on
Yeah.
in this, which is my first hookup
Wait,
and my first like time really liking someone. And I think both of that was that I kind of did feel safe.
wait.
Like in the
first one?
moment,
In the moment,
he made
definitely in the
he
moment.
made me feel safe and
You're saying
comfortable.
like
Like he was telling me like, we don't, you know, he made me feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I
And
no
that
longer
lasted for
value.
about an hour. After that, the safeness was gone. Comfortable, definitely out the window.
You just have to find that person. Everyone says like it comes when you least expect it, but it's like actually true. Like I had no idea who Will was, and he literally went to our school. Like he literally went to our school, and I didn't know who he was until he added me on Snapchat, like randomly, and like I liked him right away. And he's just too nice. And it's different because I've never like dated a guy like this before, but like I've never felt like comfortable around a guy like even just him like him touching me like
Yeah.
anywhere like. I used to try to like avoid that and like move to where like they couldn't, but like it was just so refreshing when like you meet a guy that's like has pure intentions like that, and it will come for everyone. It does. I feel like.
Oh. Just hasn't come yet, but I also think I was perhaps looking in the wrong
Look
place.
at me. That hasn't came ever. Like,
Baby.
baby, there is
Baby,
no plain for
many people
relationship
have come.
status. So true.
They come and gone.
But anyway, so that kind of set like the precedent for that, and then you guys can be in there when I talk about that when I started drinking
Okay. Thank you. What's the first time?
at my grad party.
Mm-hmm.
So
That was crazy. I was like, wait, you're gonna drink? Like, it was so long.
because I hadn't drank all through
And it was
high
like,
school.
you're waiting till you're 21.
Yeah,
Like,
I
dead
said that.
set.
I was dead set on it, and then, you know,
It's a grad party. Like,
kind of eased my way into, like, I'd done stuff that wasn't, like, that was kind of rebellious. You know, I had started vaping. I had hooked up with guys, so I was like, I mean, it was I drank for the first time at my grad party. So excited now to one day be able to tell you guys all my drunk stories because I'm putting it out there and they're not good.
They are great.
But just a sidebar in case I forget to say it, like when I get to current times, I haven't drank in over 2 months and I don't really have any intention of doing it just because it's not for me. Like, I think I always kind of knew it wasn't for me, but I wanted to try it, and I also think, like, it's just, everything happens, like, at a time in your life, and that was just the point in my life I was at.
And you also, like, don't know if you like something until you try it. Like...
And, I mean, I don't know if you felt like this, but, like, you were literally going to Ole Miss, which is, like, a huge party school, and even though you have the intentions of going in, like, you're not going to drink, I feel like one time it was going to happen, and it's, like...
That's what everyone said, and everyone was always like, the best choice for you to do it is to do it around, like, people you trust, people, and my grad party was, like, all the people...
I think it was the perfect place to do it.
I still stand by that. That was a good place to have.
It was a good decision to do your first time
drinking.
drinking.
It was, like, your family.
Yeah, my family was there, my family friends were there, like, my grandma was there, like, and it was just, like, wholesome. It was a wholesome first time drinking and getting drunk, and, after that...
No ketchup, really?
I started drinking more, and, like, again, like, I'm trying to be easy on myself because, like, everybody goes through this stuff. It's just very difficult when you're in the public eye to go through that stuff, especially, like, everybody else had learned to drink when they were, like, 13 and done those sloppy, embarrassing, trashy, humiliating, disgusting... deplorable,
seriously, don't be that hard on yourself.
Behavior, and I was going through at 18, so a little bit of a late bloomer. But yeah, I think I just sort of went off the handles, you could say.
But so does everyone when you're learning how to drink. Like, you need to learn how to drink. And it's not easy, like, especially for your first time, you don't know what's too much, you don't know what's not enough, you don't know, like, is this gonna get me drunk, is, like, you know what I mean, you need to learn what's a good amount for you.
Yeah, I do agree
Some
with
people still haven't done that yet.
It was so awkward, too, when, like, we were at, like, JD's or something.
Yeah.
And, like, people would come up to you and be like, wait, you're Lily Rice.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you supposed to say?
Like, yeah. The reason I'm saying all this is because it's going to play into when I talk about college. Like, that's why I'm talking about, like, boys and drinking and all that stuff, because it has a big part of the college stuff. But, yeah, I was definitely... I didn't like who I was when I was drinking, and I think that I was drinking a lot, like, as kind of an excuse for bad behavior. You know, every time that I would really drink my limits, I would always be like, okay, I'm done. And it was 3 times, and then I was done, like, actually done. It's the 4th of July.
I'm thinking of the time
Ollie's.
At game day.
Game day, yeah.
And JD's, like...
Wait, when?
That wasn't that bad, though.
Wait, which time?
That was not that. I was
The one
not
we
blacked
were
out.
together?
Yeah, I was not blacked out.
Yeah, but that was just funny.
That was just good.
That was just the 3 of us, too. That wasn't... I'm not, like...
Wait,
I
that was
don't-
only us?
That doesn't make my gut sink thinking about. Unlike the other 3. Like, the other 3, like, physically make me want to, like, start shaking and throw up. But the 3rd time was at school, and I was done after that. I mean, I have no desire to drink. I literally just don't.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was kind of living a little bit of a... fever dream. It does feel like a fever dream now, but nobody knew, like, on social media, and I had so much anxiety about people finding out, like, so much anxiety, and
Gulps.
yeah, this one's also not easy to talk about.
Really?
Like, no, not really. It's just embarrassing. Like, I just feel embarrassed.
Yeah, well,
Most of this is embarrassing, though.
Yeah, but everyone, like, you think your stories are bad?
bro,
Think about some
him,
of, like, yeah.
no offense, but you are worse.
And I only
And I think
drank
so many other people are, like, your stories compared to other people's, I bet are...
Yeah.
I had my first drink in June at my grad party. I drank all of July. I stopped kind of drinking in August. I drank when I went to school, and I stopped in September. So, like, that's not how you count the months, but it's not that long. Yeah. 1, 2, skip a few, 9,100. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I devoured that.
I'm doing good. I'm getting through this kind of fast. Oh, Matt's calling me. Guess what I'm doing right now? Oh my god.
No. Lily,
What?
can you come to Mikey's?
Um,
I'm with Kaden.
I told
That's
you
Brad. This is Brad. Yeah.
I'm kind of
Hayden, this is Brad.
I'm kind of in the middle of something. Maybe after.
You're not in the middle of shit.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm filming.
I'm sorry about that.
Look.
That's actually fun. That's fun.
They're laughing, but they're not the ones making thousands of dollars from it, so shut up.
So true, Jason.
I'm here. Alright, I'm sorry. Bye.
So no, I'm not going to Mikey's. He's so rude.
Matt?
No, Mikey, not Matt.
Oh.
Ugh. This is going to be the hardest part. This is like where I want to stop and take a break, but I know that if I take a break, I won't want to film the rest of it. Taking these out for this one. So going into college, I was not like at the best place with myself. Like I wasn't proud of who I was, and I thought that I could go here and have a fresh start and that everything would be better, but that wasn't the case. You can't run away from yourself, and everything got worse. So pre-rush, I had talked to a lot of girls, and you know the way rush works, like it just does. Like I was dirty rush and I was bid promise and all this stuff, and like I definitely had some false confidence going into rush, but you know, leading up to it and stuff, like once I got yik yak, I was definitely snapped out of it and like just realized like, damn, like people hate me at this school. Like a lot, like not saying that everyone does, because there's so many people that were so nice to me and so supportive, and I met some really great people there, but like majority of how I did feel was judged. And like I said, like I wasn't good at school growing up, and I didn't have very good grades. And that's part of the reason I went to Ole Miss, because like I thought I could get everything you're supposed to get out of the college experience, and I could get into the school. So going into rush, it didn't go as planned. And there's two factors how that could be. Like a lot of people told me, I heard from a lot of people, that I was blacklisted from most sororities because of the fact that I was an influencer. And then there's also my GPA. So I don't, like, I can never say, like, if I had a better GPA, like, maybe there's no way to know if it was my GPA or just because of the influencer, or if it was both. But I got my schedule back on the second day and I dropped. And that was hard, but again, like, I didn't really let myself face it. Like, it was just kind of, it is what it is. You know, everything happens for a reason. I'm gonna be okay. I can still do this. Like, it was a kind of a, is chink in your armor the right term? Chink in armor definition. No, I don't think that applies, but a ding to my confidence, let's just say. I'd worked so hard to have this clean image and it didn't matter. So like, screw it, I'm gonna drink. And I started drinking, and I drank heavily at the beginning of school, and I hated myself for it. I'm like hot, but I have chills. And I was being really reckless with guys, and you know, putting myself in positions that I wouldn't put myself in previously. And I was just embarrassed, like, and, you know, if I went out and I drank, or I had a vape in my hand, or I kissed a boy, like, people would post about it, and everyone would be like, I saw Lyris doing this, I saw that. And it just added to that feeling kind of isolation and like, this isn't going to be normal for me. And I was in an apartment as well, which, you know, a lot of people say, like, that if I had been in a dorm, that would have changed my experience, but I don't think it would have. I honestly think that the apartment was the best move for me. Because I need my space, and at least I had some semblance of my space there, but it became like where I did not want to leave the house. Like, I didn't want to leave my apartment. I stopped going to classes, and that put me in a huge hole. Obviously, you can't not go to classes in college, but I had such bad anxiety going to class. I had such bad anxiety being on campus. I had such bad anxiety feeling like everyone was looking at me, everyone was judging me. I felt like I had no privacy other than when I was literally just locked in my room. I was in such a hole, and I felt like I couldn't get out. I didn't feel like I was making friends, you know, and I struggled because, like, when I would go out, when I'd be around people, people would come up to me and they'd be so nice to me and they'd act like they wanted to be my friends, and we'd get each other's Snapchat, and then when it came down to it, like, they didn't really want to be friends, you know what I mean? And that's fine, and I think, you know, that's a way that Southern culture is way different than how I grew up, because, you know, you say things, I think that in the South, people say things to be nice, you know, and they don't actually mean it. And where I'm from, you know, people will just be mean to your face. Like, if they don't like you, they're not going to say they like you. And so I struggled with that, and I just felt really, really alone and isolated. And I started to get really depressed, and the way I was living was horribly. I would sleep in sometimes till like 5 or 7 p.m. I wasn't eating, and it wasn't because I wanted to lose weight. It's because, like, I didn't have the motivation to even eat. My skin was so bad. All the comments were talking about my skin, and I had such a complex about myself. Like, it felt like I was being perceived more than ever in my life, like, and everyone was giving me advice and telling me that, like, I clearly wasn't happy and I should go home and I'd made the wrong decision. It was hard for me to admit that I'd made the wrong decision. I was so depressed, and I was so lonely, and, like, I don't want to discount either, though. Like, I did have Coral, and, you know, in the past few days since I've been home and I've been processing, I've felt like so much guilt, not just about Coral, but, like, especially about Coral, about not seeing how loved I was and not seeing how much people were there for me until it was almost too late. And there's nothing anyone could have done to save me. Like, I had to save myself, and I really do believe that I had to get to that rock bottom to see things for how they are. But when I came home and I'd also, like, in September, I stopped drinking. And, you know, it was one thing in high school to go to parties around all my friends and not drink, because I could still have fun, because I still knew everyone and I could still laugh. But it was much harder for me to go out to a bar in Mississippi and not drink around people I don't know. And I just want to go home, and, like, I just didn't want to leave, like, my apartment. So I got into a really dark place. And I knew, like, I had to do something. I knew I wasn't happy, and, like, when I came home for Columbus Day, which is, we do not get a fall break at Ole Miss, but I came home anyway because I needed to come home, and I did not want to go back. Like, I tried everything in my might not to go back. I didn't feel like myself there. Everything felt dark and heavy and like tainted. Even moments of like happiness, I just felt this heaviness on me and this darkness. And you know, I've been very open, and I mean, it's no secret. It's no secret. Like, I was raised by Democrats. I went to school where I was taught by mostly Democrats, surrounded by my friends that are mostly Democrats. I am a true blue, bleeding heart Democrat, and I'm proud of it, and I feel really passionately about, you know, political topics. And even though I didn't really feel like comfortable talking about that at the beginning of like my TikTok, because like, I don't know, I just didn't want people to be mad at me. Like, you know, over, I'd say the last year, I've made it very clear. And, you know, that was also something I struggled with, was like, why did I choose to move to Mississippi? Like, why would I choose to move to Massachusetts and Mississippi? I knew what people thought when I tell them that, like, and I don't want to be dramatic, but it did kind of feel like I was like, you know, what's the word? Ignoring or like going against my morals, what I cared about. And it was really hard for me to be there and, you know, be in a place where the most important guy that's been in my life for, you know, all my high school has been Jason. He was just in here. But, you know, he's gay, and when he came and visited, and like, it felt like that was not a safe place for him, I was so embarrassed and I was so ashamed that I had chosen to live in a place where, you know, my best friend couldn't be safe, couldn't come and visit me and be safe because he's gay. And that, I think, also sent me into a spiral when they came, Indy, Jason, and Jesse came to visit, and I think they just really saw like how miserable I was, and we had like a talk, and they were just like, why are you here? Like, I wasn't getting an education because like, I was too anxious to go to class. Like, I wasn't happy, and I was just sitting in my apartment in Mississippi, and miserable day in and day out, like, and my family was worried about me. And, you know, after that weekend, like, I definitely came to the realization, I was like, I'm not staying here. This is not the place for me. And I've always been like kind of a dreamer. Like, I always had big hopes, and I've always had big dreams, and I've dealt with depression, but throughout my depression, like, I always saw a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I always felt like things were going to get better. Like, I could picture a future and get excited about it. And I started to not be able to picture a future I was excited about. I couldn't think of a world where I stayed there and made it work. I couldn't think of a way that I would be happy. I couldn't think of any way, really, that I could be happy. And I couldn't see how loved I was. I felt so alone, and like, again, I'm dealing with a lot of guilt for that, because like, for example, on my birthday, my assistant at the time, Joey, and Coral had put in so much effort, made it so special to me, and I was so scared that like nobody was gonna show up. Indy and Jason and Jesse, like I said, they were in town for that weekend, and I didn't even want to go. Like, I did not want to go to my own birthday party because I was so anxious that nobody was going to show up, and I couldn't even focus on or appreciate the fact that the people who had shown up, and, you know, people who had put so much effort into making it special for me. And I mean, Jason and Indy had flown from Massachusetts, and like, I was so consumed, such a negative outlook, that I couldn't even see that or appreciate that. And it's so obvious, obviously in hindsight, it's 2020, but I didn't see it. It wasn't true, but I believed I was alone. And that's a dangerous thing. And so after they left, I came to the realization that like I 100% was not coming home after Thanksgiving. I meant to say I was not coming back to Ole Miss after Thanksgiving, and I was staying at home, not the other way around. And you know, I was so desperate to relieve this pain and this weight that I'd been carrying around, and everything that I did from that point moving forward was just impulsive, desperate attempts to try and relieve the pain I was feeling so deeply. And so this was just kind of also obvious trigger warning. You know, this part is gonna get a little dark. So I went online and I dropped my classes. That was not something I thought through. It was just like, maybe I'll feel better if I like officially have this weight off of me. So I dropped my classes, I dropped to 0 hours, and the next day I got an email, and I had talked to my mom, and it was like the definite plan that I was coming home. It was just about like how and when I was gonna get home. And I was so scared to disappoint my dad too, and I just felt like either way was going to be so hard and so painful. Coming home and dropping out and, you know, admitting I was wrong and having to deal with everything people were going to say about that, or staying in a place that I was so miserable. I just felt like truly trapped. So Wednesday, November 5th, I got an email that I had 48 hours to vacate my apartment. Yeah, just period. And I was like, okay. And that was obviously extremely stressful because I hadn't even really talked to my, dad about it. I hadn't talked to my grandma about it. I hadn't talked to a lot of people about it. And I had no idea what I was going to do. I am 1,200 miles away from my home. I'm in Mississippi. I'm from Massachusetts. I have all this stuff. How am I going to get at home? How am I going to get home? Where am I going to stay? How am I going to explain to everyone? It was just so stressful. And again, I internalized it. I didn't face it. I was like, okay, I'll deal with it when I get to that point. I will find some way to make it work. I'm not dealing with it today. I went to the movies with my roommates. That day was normal for me. And like I said, I had been, very emotionally unstable. I had been crying all day, every day for a month. Over a month. And so for my roommates to hear me, crying, that wasn't exactly, super abnormal. I went to the movies with my roommate, Sienna, and my friend Brooke, and, it was fine. we got home and we were sitting on the couch, and like I said, like everything was normal. And I mean, normal for me at that time was still very dark. And you know, I feel like there's a very thin line, and you know, from having suicidal thoughts and having intention to actually do it. But I think when it gets to a point where you're having those thoughts of, I don't want to be here anymore, I wish I just wouldn't wake up, I wish something would happen to me, like, I can't do this, like, if you're having those for long enough, they'll start to turn to where you really believe that, and you want to hurt yourself. And you know, I always thought that I never would. Like I really did. I was like, you know, I would never be able to do that to my family. Was basically the only reason that I felt like I had not to do that. Was just the fact that my mom and my brother and my dad and my grandparents and my family would never get over that. They'd never be okay again. I was texting with one of my friends, and the conversation was just kind of about how I was not okay and how miserable I was. And like, I had had these conversations with people so many times. I mean, I was having them almost every day with my friends about how I was miserable and how I was not okay. But something about this was definitely different, and I don't know why. I got, at the beginning of the conversation, I quickly got incredibly upset, and I don't remember everything from this night. I think I'm kind of blacking it out because of how traumatic it was. And I don't know what I said to him, but I said something to him that was enough that he was really worried. And he did what everyone should do in this situation, because if he had been wrong and I had not been in danger, and he had, you know, taken the necessary steps, then that would have been so much better than if he was right and didn't do anything. So I started crying on the couch. It's a toilet. I started crying on the couch, and I went into my room, and I was like, I just need to be alone. And all of my friends from home started calling me and being like, are you okay? Like, Jason called me, and he was like, I will fly out there, like, right now. Like, I just want you to be okay. And, like, it's so great. Like, all my friends were calling me, and, like, I feel so bad for doing that to them and scaring them like that. Like, I know I was texting. I texted a few people and, like, basically said goodbye, and, like, that's something that they're gonna have to remember and think about and be traumatized by. And I did that. Like, I feel like I took all the pain I was feeling. I was ready to take all the pain that I was feeling and release it to everybody that I loved, but so much worse, and give them so much more pain so that I wasn't in pain anymore, and I wasn't in that place anymore. And so they're all calling me and freaking out, obviously the first person that everybody gets in touch with is Coral. Because she's out. Because she was out there in Mississippi, and she was able to come over, and she texted my roommate, and she was like, you need to go into Lily's room, like do not leave her. And like she didn't know that it was too late. Like I literally don't remember most of this, but I know that Coral literally rushed over to my apartment, and I powered my phone off, and I written a note. She came over and she just saw me sobbing in bed. I don't want to get into too much detail because there's no reason to. It doesn't add anything to the story to add the details of what I had done, but she noticed pretty quickly, and she called the ambulance, and it was just horrible. And my roommates, they all had to see that, and Brooke and Coral, and that's just so traumatizing. And if I had thought about it longer, I would have known that it would have been Coral who would have had to find me. And I was okay with doing that. It fills me with so much guilt. And I'm trying to work on releasing it, but it's gonna be a process. This is all fresh. But the ambulance came, and I don't really remember much, but I know that my roommates, Coral and Brooke, they followed me to the hospital, and I was admitted into the ICU, and it was 11 o'clock at night. My mom wasn't awake back home. And I remember I was sitting in the ER, and they were taking all my vitals and stuff. I remember thinking there's no way that they're still here, or just thinking they definitely left because they couldn't see me. It wasn't even a thought that I was mad, where I was oh, they definitely left, but it was just I remember that crossing my mind, I wonder if they went home or whatever, and I was in the ICU. They took my phone, and I woke up at 3 in the morning, and Coral came into my hospital room, and she had waited for hours and hours and hours in the waiting room, and they all waited until they heard I was okay. And they let Coral in because she said she was my sister, because we always say we're sisters. I mean, she is my sister, everything that a sister is. Coral and Lula are to me, and there's some things where it just goes past level of friends, she came into the hospital room, and that's when I instantly just felt the regret. I knew I'd really messed up, and I had done something that I had done something that I regretted so much, and I had hurt people that I loved so much, and I couldn't see it. Okay. I stopped crying. Let's see if I can make it through the rest of this without crying. Yeah. So I was in the hospital and I didn't have my phone. Yeah, Coral came into my room, and I feel like it was like 3 in the morning because there's a little clock in the ICU, and she dealt with everything. Like, she handled all that stuff I was so stressed about. I wouldn't be able to handle. Her and my mom handled it. I didn't have my phone. She was the one that was texting, you know, the people that knew, like the few people I had texted and that were super concerned. And, you know, she's the one that had to tell my mom, and yeah, she was there the whole time. And so the next day I was in the ICU the whole day. Peyton, Brooke, Sienna, and Coral were there. You know, they brought me food because I'm such a picky eater. I genuinely did not eat the entire week that I was hospitalized other than the food that they brought me and chips. All I ate at the patient center I went to, the inpatient center I went to, was chips. Because I just am so picky and I could not eat the food. And the next day, you know, they were there with me all day, and Coral had to go to work. And so while she was at work, Sienna and Brooke stayed with me. And, you know, they were the ones texting my mom updates and stuff. And they're the ones texting my parents updates and stuff. And then, you know, it came time I knew that I was going to have to go to a treatment center. I mean, I think in every state it's mandatory. If you try and take your own life, you have to go somewhere for 72 hours, or you have a 72-hour hold. And someone came, and they, you know, someone from the center I ended up going to came to the hospital, and they were just trying to get me in wherever they could find me a bed. But, you know, I got, I guess, accepted into the hospital. And we were just waiting on an ambulance. It took like a day to get an ambulance because, like, you have to have an ambulance to transport you, but obviously the ambulance's first priorities are emergencies, so it's hard to get one, especially an hour away. And Coral had to go to work, and of course I made that harder than what she was already going through, and I cried when she left, and like, when I woke up in the middle of the night, and she had come back after work, and she was sleeping next to me on a chair. And like, again, I just feel so guilty. And stupid, because how did I think I was alone? I was so obviously not alone. I was so obviously loved, and everybody could see it but me. But the brain can play horrible tricks on you, and can convince you that, and it can make you perceive reality in a really ugly, sad way. And so on Friday, we woke up, and they had gotten me an ambulance, and I had my phone in the ambulance. They let me have my phone. I texted like a few people, just told them that I was okay. And, you know, I have lived a very sheltered life, I will admit. I have not had to go through a lot of hard things, and this was fucking hard. I don't normally curse, especially on social media, but this was fucking hard, and this was scary, and it was traumatic, and I will never, ever, ever put myself in a position to end up in one of these places again. But I got brought to a mental hospital is what it is. And, all I had was my paper scrubs. And they had told me at the hospital that I wouldn't need any other clothes. They told me that they'd like provide with clothes at the place, at the facility. Not true. And I got there and I think I fell asleep in the like at the place where they admit you, and all my jewelry had been taken. All I had was my bunny and my blanket. They took my bunny and my blanket at the facility. They said I couldn't have it back. I just wanted my bunny, like, that was the only thing I had left, but Coral had written me a note with her number on it, and they didn't take that, and I literally slept with that for 2 nights and brought it everywhere around with me, like it was my new, like, attachment thing, was the note with her number, and it was scary, and I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about it because it was just traumatizing. Like, it was just scary. The second day I woke up, I was really sick, and they did not care that I was sick. I think that they thought that I was faking it because I wanted to get out of there. But I didn't have clothes. Coral had to drive up an hour and bring me my bag, bring me a bag with clothes. She had to go into my apartment and see it empty and seeing everything left the way that it had been left. And, you know, I met a lot of people there that really changed my perspective and, you know, really made me grateful. And all my friends were calling the place too. The people were so annoyed. They were like, your friends are, like, really putting us to work. Like, all these people keep calling. And, you know, I had nothing but my thoughts there. But my thoughts, they really did. My camera keeps dying and I'm on the verge of finishing this, so I just want to finish it, so I'm filming the rest of my phone. But I met a lot of people that really changed my perspective, and you're in there with nothing but your thoughts. Obviously, you're trapped in basically a room. I was there for 4 days. And, you know, my perspective on everything changed pretty soon after what I had done happened, and I realized I regretted it and that I was stupid, and I my life was so far from over, and I had so much left and so much I wanted to do and so many people that I loved and that loved me, and yeah, it didn't take long for me to snap out of whatever was wrong with me. But my mom flew in, and her and Coral packed up all my stuff. You know, most of my clothes right now and my makeup and all that stuff is in a storage unit in Mississippi because that was not the main priority. Main priority was just getting me home. And, you know, Brooke, Coral, and Sienna, they came and visited me in at the facility on the visitation day. And, you know, I've only seen Coral cry like twice. We've been best friends for years, and one time, like, I walked in on her crying, and then another time was when we watched The Notebook. Like, she does not cry, and when she came to visit me, like, I was talking, and I just looked over, and tears were pouring down her face, and it was just like just horrible. Like, I just feel horrible, and I felt horrible, and I feel horrible for leaving her there too. Like, you know, we both struggled, but we had each other, and I was the one that wasn't strong enough to tough it out. I'm just dealing with a lot of that. A lot of guilt about that. But, you know, the meds are the big part of those places. I think I thought that it was going to be a lot more therapy than it actually was. No, it's basically about putting you on medication and seeing how you react to it. And you cannot show your emotions in there because they will keep you longer. So I was going through all this shit, but I had to, try and put a brave face on because I just wanted to get out of there. And I did. And, of course, Coral, my sister, and my mom came. And, like, when I looked, the door is glass. And there's, like, the desk with, like, the nurses and the tech behind it. And then the door's right here. And I was up at the desk. I was up at the desk talking to the nurse, and I turned and I saw my mom through the glass door, and I just broke down, and I was like, can I please go hug her? Can I please go hug her? And they're like, you can't. My mom came through the door. And I didn't care about the rules. I did not care. I just hugged her. And like, just don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. To do that to them, and like, nobody is mad at me other than myself. I'm just so mad at myself. And I got out. I got my phone back, and so many people had texted me. Not many people knew what was going on, but people had just noticed that I wasn't, posting at all or on my private story. And I had so many texts. And, Indy and my friend Violet and a few other people who knew what was happening and texted me every single day. Even though they knew that I didn't have my phone. Like, I opened up my phone to, like, streams of messages every day just being like, I love you. I'm thinking about you. I missed your laugh today. I miss you extra today. Like, I can't wait to see you. Like, and it's just difficult to imagine, like, what would have happened if Daniel hadn't have texted them and told them that someone needed to go there and save me. And like, how many lives I would have ruined. And that's just kind of what I've been dealing with, like, now in the present. Like, I am happy again, and I'm hopeful for the future. And I have that light back, and I have that joy and that look on life, like, of that everything is gonna be okay. And I have plans again for what I want to do with my time on this earth. And I'm home, and I'm surrounded by people who all they want to do is help me. And I'm on the right medicine, and I'm just kind of taking care of myself for a little bit and taking a beat and figuring out what my next step is. But when I got my phone back, I posted, like, in my hospital scrubs or whatever, because, like, the only way I know how to deal with stuff a lot of times is just by joking and making light of it. And yeah, like, when people first started asking me, like, what happened, are you okay, like, I couldn't really bring myself to tell most people, because I'm embarrassed, and it's dark and it's heavy, and I feel like anyone that I tell is putting that darkness and that heaviness on them. But I don't want to walk around with all this on my chest anymore. And I want to be able to be honest, and be myself, and also, like, anyone who's in the position or felt the way that, like, I felt, like, there is hope. It does get better in the way that you see things and feel things when you're depressed is not the way they are. And it sucks that it took this for me to realize that. But I did. And here we are. And I got through the story. And yeah, I cried a little, but it could have been way worse. And I love you guys. And I appreciate you guys as well on top of it. And the people that have supported me. And I don't know what my life would look like without, you know, all the people that love and support me. And I promise to wake up every day and appreciate that, and, you know, look out the window and see the beautiful world that God has created and the people full of love and do better than what I've done. And I'm ready to, you know, find a balance between putting myself under so much pressure that I feel like I can't do anything and being completely off the handles and off the rails and, you know, out of control. And I think this is it. And I'm here. And I feel a lot lighter, even just talking about this. And I love you all so much. There'll be links under this to different resources because help is out there. And even if you feel like you're alone, nobody who's watching this is alone, because you have me and I care and I love you all. And even if I don't see every comment or every DM, it still means the world to me. And I feel your love and I appreciate it. And we're all in this together. We're all just doing the best that we can. And we're going to be okay. And I'm going to be okay. I am okay. And I'm a human. I've made mistakes. I've done things I'm not proud of. I've hurt people. I've hurt myself. And I've lived, you know, a lot of life in my 18 years. And I hope to live, you know, 80 more. There it all is, for better or for worse. You guys know it all. There's no more skeletons in the closet. And yeah. I love you guys, and we're gonna be okay.